Okay, that didn't take but a second. What I did was I threw a couple of small pieces of kindling in there and took my Bernzomatic torch and got that birch bark on fire. Yeah, so there's a fire right there in the firebox. I do have a chimney thermometer, and when I burn my creosote, I try to get it up to about 600. I think creosote starts burning at 500 and something degrees, but I like to get it up to about 600 and let that run for 20 minutes, half hour. Sometimes I just let it run for an hour, depends on what kind of wood I have burned before, just to burn that creosote out of the chimney. Creosote catches on fire, it causes a chimney fire, and it could burn your house down, right? So as you can see, there's still, especially on the right hand side there, it's that birch. That birch is definitely a little damp, but that'll dry out, and I'll just make sure I burn my chimney out, right? So there's a lot of safety precautions. There's a little bit of skill involved in running a wood stove so it's safe. And first time a friend of mine started burning wood, it would get going like that and it would scare her, so she would turn the damper down. And I said, no, you can't. You've got to get that wood on fire, get it burning good, and then you can turn the damper down a little bit. The worst thing in the world is smoldering wood, folks, or a little fire. You've got to make sure that you burn your chimney out. And you got to know how to do it, and you got to do it safely, right? If you're going to burn wood in a wood stove and you're going to be scared of it, you might as well take the wood stove right out and get a furnace. If you're not going to be able to get used to the wood stove and it's going to cause you anxiety and you can't seem to get over that anxiety, you might as well take it right out, use it as a backup somewhere, and put a furnace in. Just saying. I know of people that's happened to, folks. So when I was turning my compost, I work really hard for my compost here because I have more compost than I do soil. So I handle that compost and I turn it and turn it and turn it. I handle that compost many times before it goes into the garden. So somebody asked, actually two, well, one hinted really hard. The other two just came right out and asked if they could have, come spring, if they could have 3 or 4 buckets. One of them asked if they could have half a pickup load of my compost. I said, I can't do that. With all the compost piles you have in your yard, you can't let go a half a pickup load. I said, no, I cannot. And they didn't understand that at all. So I explained to them, listen, this is what I do. This is a lot of work just to give it away. They come right back and says, I will pay you $50 for a half a truck load of compost. I said, listen, I know you've got chickens. I know you've got sheep. You've got compost in the making right there. And they raise rabbits. So people just don't want to work for compost, but they'll let you do all the work and then, expect that you're just going to freely hand it out because you've got so much of it. Compost does not go bad. You can keep adding to it. You can spread it here, there, and everywhere. I have a rather big garden, and I have several other gardens. I have nut trees, I have fruit trees, I have berries, I have flowers. establishing and reestablishing new ground all the time. That compost pile that he was talking about that looked so nice, he said, will go about half of what I need to for next year. I have other compost piles. One will not be ready until next spring. It is not ready yet. And I just started another one, and then I've got all these leaves and pine needles that I have been raking up. They'll be used as mulch, but they'll also be turned into compost and leaf litter, right? So people just don't understand, but they don't mind asking for something if they don't have to work for it, right? All right, folks. I'm going to let this burn for a little bit, and then I am going to close the door all the way because it's just open just a crack now. And I'll close the damper down about 3/4 of the way, and then I will go to bed. I just want enough to heat the house up a little bit more and then let it go out so I can clean the ashes out tomorrow. Thanks for joining me.